tell me I forget, but if you think I'm waiting, then you are mistaken. Maybe you're in love, but I haven't got there yet. Go through the night, fight off, sleep until I'm there. Drive home tonight, long drive home tonight. Woo. In Oklahoma, and I'm hoping that the last time I saw you wasn't really the last time again. The ones you pride yourself on all the time. Oh, don't cry yourself to sleep tonight. Why?
My songwriting process. I quite like to write about more real life events, just different things that I experience or different things that other people experience. I found that that's usually the way songs have come about for me. My own experiences, they are very much grounded in the lyrical content. Chords and things like that, it's a little bit more, it's probably a little bit more basic. It's just about just starting to play different things. Lately I've been messing around with different tunings and not necessarily having an idea about what I'm playing and not being aware of the chord. Probably out of ignorance really and laziness. Just, well, I quite like the sound of this, where could it go, and messing around with that. Whether if I'm writing on the guitar or writing on the piano, it's just kind of playing stuff that I quite like and really not trying to overcomplicate it. You can overcomplicate, and that's fine if you want to do that. And I've got songs that are more complicated for me, particularly when I'm doing finger picking and more intricate things like that. But a lot of the time, it's just playing around with the guitar, playing around with the piano. Something sounds nice, and it might spark an idea, or in a way, it's quite cathartic. Just going through these, I suppose it's my outlet. In regards to kind of technology, I'm again ignorant with technology. Mixing, mastering, producing, and being able to engineer, that's not me. I don't understand it. I've tried. It doesn't go in. I accept that. I'd rather have other people that are very good at what they do. The working with, instruments, if it's putting something in a different tuning, I like the process of just exploring it, not necessarily knowing what I'm doing and finding, oh, that actually sounds really nice. That sounds really different. A friend of mine actually gave me a half capo or half capo, whatever you want to call it, and using that, because it makes it sound like it's an open tuning, and just exploring around that. And I've only ever written one song with it, and every time I've ever tried to explore it in a different way, it sounds terrible, or writing in a different tuning and then realise I'm probably playing the same song 3 times and having to adapt it. I like the kind of, for me, what feels tangible, and having a knowledge of that rather than going to technology. But I also think there's a real opportunity for that and a real understanding and a way you can access that knowledge and educate yourself through technology to better your playing and inform your playing. Where do I write songs? I find it hard to write a lot of the time when there's other people around. So if it's in the apartment I live in, I find it quite hard to write. I have written there, but it's just kind of being aware of the noise you're making, or it's not necessarily always, I suppose, the most inspirational place. But equally, a lot of the time, a lot of the songs I've written in the last few years have been when I've been in Canada and actually in my friend's kitchen. And I find something about that place, and I think it is the whole experience. Like being in Canada, I love being in Canada. I go to Canada a lot. I work a lot out in Canada, and I'm always doing music out there. And I think it's that kind of context matters. Yes, it's my friend's kitchen, but it's the whole, I suppose, holistic process of being there, experiencing everything, understanding that, being around people that, I know, doing shows, being on the road, touring, trying to capture songs and trying to capture ideas before they disappear probably into the ether of my mind, has been something that my wife has forced me to do effectively, because I would start to write something and not lay it down, not remember it, and then get frustrated. So she has forced me to effectively record things, and whether it be through voice memos historically and videos historically as well. I found videos are quite helpful, but because you remember, you see the chords that you're using, particularly if you're using a different tuning, and maybe kind of stating at the start of the video, this is the tuning I'm using, these are the chords. But I have got in a habit of sometimes playing the song and forgetting that to video the neck of the guitar, and then completely forgetting what I'm playing. But even lately, the Songzap app, being able to lay things down through there and being able to demo those and have a real understanding of what that song sounds like and where that song can go, I found really helpful. Being able to actually use something that gives you access to being able to use multiple tracks and multiple layers rather than just a single voice memo or a video. It allows you to explore the ideas you have that pop up as you're laying down a track. I don't have that much time to go and sit down and set up mics and understand that and plug it in, etc., etc. So actually being able to just pull my phone out and knock out a song and then be like, okay, actually maybe this riff will go over the top of it, or this vocal riff, or maybe I could look at that beat or this piano line, and being able to have that flexibility and versatility, I find really, really beneficial. Because it is, probably every single creative person's got thousands of voice memos and thousands of videos, and then they forget about them because actually you've got that little spark. You get really, I do anyway, you get really kind of hyper fixated on it. You do it and you kind of go over the bit that you like, and then actually my concentration's not great, and then it disappears, and then 6 months later I come back to it. But being able to, I suppose, capitalize on the creative process through what like Songzap, and being able to use those different components that it has access to, I found really, really helpful. Being able to structure a song in a way that is even a lot more visual, I found really helpful. A lot of the time, I suppose, in a sense, the music that I write might be more kind of formulaic in that sense. It's kind of pop formulas. Or acoustic singer-songwriter formulas. I'm not breaking the boundaries of really anything. But equally, lately I've been messing around with songs, and there was one song I was writing lately, and I had the chorus at the start, and that's not hugely unusual. But for me, it's not the most. It is unusual, and being able to actually structure that and say, okay, well, here's these parts, and I can have this idea, and actually, being able to lately adapt these songs and think, okay, actually, I don't need to go write a mid-lay. I don't need to write a bridge. Or if I do have a bridge or I do have a middle-lay, it can be something that's more intricate to do with my guitar playing and playing around with that, rather than having to fill space with lyrics and stories. And, you've got that singer-songwriter kind of bubble that you have to, I need this and I need to tell the story. But equally, I've told the story here. The middle-lay can have that space. I've had to really work on my timing and my rhythm, basically. Historically, my timing was terrible. We'd go in the studio and it would be just a given. It would take quite a few number of takes before I'd actually lock in with things. But that's where I found technology actually been very helpful for me, because, okay, absolutely, playing to a metronome is something everyone should do. Whether you do it is a different thing. I didn't necessarily do that when I was learning. I should have. But being able to use technology, and instead of just having a really standard click track, being able to use a groove and having drums and being able to develop that, I found that really, really helpful, because actually it keeps my interest. I know where I am, and I feel like I'm engaging with it a lot more than just the standard boop, 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 whatever. When I have a song, you always have in mind what potential other parts you'd want. And I think with singer-songwriters, it is about, I've had albums that are really, really produced, and I've really enjoyed doing those, but also the recordings that I've done lately, it's a little bit more nuanced. It's a little bit more subtle, and I really like that, because actually I think it's a little more translational to that live model. If you're playing, just a singer-songwriter show solo, and then someone goes and buys a CD and it's produced to high heaven, it's not really a true representation. So I've found that when I write, I have ideas of what I think I would want, but equally, it's being able to access those musicians and access people who can do it better than me. There are multiple, even down to, my guitar playing. I'm comfortable playing guitar, but I know if it was to do with soloing, that's not necessarily my bag. I would like someone who can do that better, who sounds better, who knows that, who can add something and a different dimension to it. Because equally, if I'm going to do soloing, it's probably going to be in the dimension that I am comfortable with. Whereas using someone else who has a completely different experience of playing music is really, really helpful. But again, it's, music is expensive to make a lot of the time. And I've been very, very lucky with the people I've been able to collaborate with, because they are friends and they are very giving, effectively. And it's not taking that for granted. It's being able to come to, I suppose, reciprocal arrangements in that sense, and being able to do it because you love music, but also being aware of, everyone probably needs to benefit from it. So when on the last recording, we had kind of violin, we had pedal steel, synths, Rhodes, lots of different things. And the people that all laid those instruments down, one, I can't play violin, I can't play pedal steel, I can't play Rhodes, I can't play Hammond. So that's where those individuals got involved. Being able to access that, I think, is a really important thing, but it's being able to access that can be the barrier between things. Demoing the idea to give to other people is, again, something I've not been great with. It's one of my, sometimes it can be a real positive, sometimes it can be a real negative. I get really quite hyperfixated on one part, and then the rest of it I kind of forget about. So I have this song, I have this idea, but then trying to communicate that to other people in a way that other people will be able to offer support and understanding around it is something I'm sometimes not great at. But again, it's having been able to collaborate with people, and people who know the more engineering, the technology, the production side of things, being able to support in that and being able to offer that to other people. Equally, historically, if it's just passing a song, it's been voice memos, or getting in the studio and playing the song, which is potentially not the most helpful because all of a sudden you're on the spot. But having access to and using apps like Songzap has kind of revolutionized that, because I can lay that stuff down, I can lay the different components and say, this is kind of what I'm thinking. I can't do this as well. What do you think about this idea? Or can you add your understanding around it? And you can collaborate through that. Being able to use Songzap today in this environment, it's brilliant being in a studio, but being able to understand that actually, we used it today and it was so user friendly. Okay, absolutely, it's more complicated than using a voice memo, because it's doing a lot more than a voice memo, but it's, it allows you to explore the song, and whether you're using other elements of it that I normally wouldn't use. There's parts of it that, for example, the AI feature in it. A lot of people are going to have quite polarizing views around AI. Personally, I wouldn't normally use AI, but being able to go, okay, I'll try it. It doesn't mean I have to use it, but it's given me ideas that I wouldn't have had myself. And being able to say, okay, do you know what? Actually, that does work. That doesn't work. It hasn't worked with that. It has worked with this. Oh, actually, that's not bad. And it's like I suppose it's kind of any progress or any evolution in anything, whether it's good or bad, you can do kind of what you want with it. If I just want to lay down my guitar and my vocals, I can do that. And then I can, tomorrow when we're recording, I can say, okay, these are the ideas we've had. This is what it sounds. Let's add layers to it. But today we've added multiple components to it and multiple layers, and used different features of that app, whether we use them or not, for the finished outcome. It's been really, really helpful. And it doesn't need to be in a studio. I can take it home and you can use it. I can use it at home. I can use it in Canada. I can use it on tour. I can use it on the road. I can use it wherever I want. And I can choose and have control over the outcome of that and what I use it for my benefit. I think having access to different technology and different modalities is not a bad thing. As you say, I'm very lucky with having access and being able to know different musicians and being able to have access to people who can play different instruments, who have different experiences and can offer different things to me. I am very lucky with that. A lot of people don't. And actually, if it is about someone, you know, maybe I'm stereotyping in this sense, but much younger, learning about technology, learning about music, learning about recording, and they say, oh, you know, I'd love to know what strings sounds like this. I'd love to know what Hammond sounds like this. And being able to use that as a feature. Okay, it's an AI feature, but you also have control over that AI feature, and you can change what you want about it. It's not reducing the level of creativity. It's opening doors to people who wouldn't have had those opportunities, who then have those ideas, and then if they know people, they can offer that to, you know, real, effectively in-person musicians who can come and do that and add to it. Because I always think that's having the human element in music is vitally important. But we've had all, you know, different types of technology in music for years and years and years. But again, you know, if it was to do with synths, for example, or software, people would have to have a budget. With Songzap, you can buy Songzap and explore the different creative ideas that you may have or may not have had, and be able to either A, use it as its purpose there, or being able to take that and offer it to in-person musicians to work towards your final product. Using Songzap today has kind of been this, it's quite a different, it's like pre-production, but it's been a lot less stressful, and it's been a lot more time efficient. Instead of having to contact all these different people and et cetera, and chart this out and chart that and do this and do that, I've got it all laid out on an app. I've got it in front of me. I can change the structure. We can change the tempo. We can change the beat. We can change this, et cetera. We can get rid of parts if we want. We can get rid of this. We can add to this. We can adapt to it. Being able to come in tomorrow and just get in the studio, you know, whatever time we get there, and just get to work is time efficient, cost efficient. Studio time is not cheap. I think be able to look at all the different parts, well, not necessarily all the different parts, but just some of the different parts that we've been able to do. So taking it from effectively what is a voice memo, just guitar and vocal, and then being able to separate that out and go, okay, actually, if we were in the studio normally, we would have to have a guide. So we've got this guide. We've already got that. So we separate it out. It's very simple. And then it was able to go, okay, actually, why don't we try this type of guitar, and why don't we use that? And that's what we did. And then realize actually that the tone of this is gonna work quite well. And then, you know, because we're in a studio, we've got access to lots of different stuff. And then kind of, oh, actually, why don't we try piano? And again, I can't play piano very well, so, you know, Mike has gone and played piano, and it sounds really good. And then having it on this app and going, okay, well, actually, if we just came in tomorrow and laid those parts down, we'd have a song. I'm going back to Canada in summer, doing some shows out there. Again, collaborating, doing shows with a comedian friend of mine called James Mullinger. We do a lot of stuff together. And even then, you know, James and I have collaborated on different songs, like comedy songs. But being able to actually use Songzap for the next thing that we're planning is going to be really beneficial, because it's user friendly, and you don't have to have loads of experience. You can just add to it, and I think that's great. So going back to Canada, doing some touring out there, predominantly on the East Coast, which I'm really looking forward to. Canada is, I could bang on about how much I love Canada and how cathartic it is, and just doing shows out there, and whether it be house shows or just, you know, much bigger shows, or, you know, whatever type of show, I love it. And then yeah, doing more recordings, which has kind of been the precursor of it was today, which I've been very thankful for, and I'm looking forward to getting some new stuff out. I've been sitting on a few songs, and it's being able to find the time from everyone's point of view, but working on those songs, getting some new songs out, going to Canada, and probably getting some new merch as well.
What you gonna do now? Your mama ain't here to save you. Have you ever heard